Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome back, AfterBuzzers. We are doing Manhattan AfterBuzz TV After Show. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. Joining me, I have a new co-host today.
Hello, I'm Alina Vission.
Alina Vission, welcome so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to the panel.
Excited.
I'm excited to have you. And today we are doing Season 2, Episode 4, The Threshold, which has a lot of different meanings.
Yes, it does.
We'll definitely get into it. Bobby obviously is not here tonight, but of course Alina's gonna help us out tonight.
I do my best to fill in.
All right, and before we went live, you actually told me a fun fact about you that I think everyone else should know.
Little disclaimer, I'm actually from Los Alamos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, born and raised, and my grandfather actually worked on the Manhattan Project.
Look at that. So, dare say,
right.
You're more qualified to talk about this show than we are.
I know a little bit about it, just a little bit.
Awesome. I mean, that's super cool, especially being tied to the exact topic we're talking about.
That's what got me into the show. I was like, they're doing something about my hometown. Oh my goodness, because it's really not on the map. Hardly anyone knows.
No, I don't think a lot of people knew about.
Most people don't pay attention during, 10th grade U.S. history, so.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So real quickly, what were your overall thoughts about this episode?
I thought it was really interesting. I'm still kind of on the fence of if I liked it, if I didn't like it. I think we saw a lot of kind of where the show might go as far as what they're going to be doing with the bomb, what they're going to be doing, their personal relationships. We saw some flashbacks to before kind of everything started. So I don't know. I liked it. What did you think?
I liked it. I liked how we were getting all the different interactions between people, us now knowing who's the spy and who's not, who's good, who's bad. And it's fun to watch other people trust people who we know as audience shouldn't. And then people trusting each other who actually do trust each other and they shouldn't. It's that whole game that's really fun to play. And we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with Team Implosion. Frank's team, pretty much. Frank is still missing, but we'll get to Frank. But we see Paul and Fritz. Fritz had a big episode tonight.
Yes, he did. I'm actually really excited for him.
I know. And
Fritz is getting married.
he got married quick.
Yeah, he did real quick.
Like in the
couple of days.
Episode. That was fun. So we see him, he's having this whole theory about the project that they're working on, and that it's like a revolutionary big step in a way in mankind, pretty much. It's like the threshold of being something that's great, so you could be on this theoretical trip to Jupiter. Would you go, but would you give up everything that you know and love and trust right now?
Right.
But to be part of this humongous experiment, would you give that up? And what did you think about this whole metaphor and just the way that they put it into perspective of what they're working on?
I think it was really interesting. I think it's an interesting metaphor. I mean, like you said, the whole atomic age was kind of a dawn of a new era.
Yeah.
And I think he realized that. But he sees like the downfalls and the pitfalls that could happen. I think they all see that.
And the actual fall.
Exactly.
of one of the coworkers. That poor guy, Thatcher.
Yeah.
Never seen him before, but
he had a really short show.
I mean, and he was choking on his tongue. I was like, oh, that poor guy.
Exactly. But,
that's his only screen time is him dying.
Exactly. Things happen. It's an experiment. You never know. Maybe it was sabotage. You never know. But yeah, I think, Fritz he's definitely on to something, as he always is. What did you think about that?
I loved it. Bobby and I, we always talk about how much we love Fritz and how much he's more the heart of that team.
Definitely.
He's the fun, goofy one that brings levity to such a serious type of you know how this show gets very dramatic.
Right.
And whatnot. And he's that fun character that we can always depend on being the go-lucky, happy person.
Exactly.
That
No
we
care
can
in the
just count
world.
on.
Yeah.
And to see him have this revelation, like, life is short. We're on a big project. Let's just do it.
Yes.
And then he wants to marry Jeannie.
I know, and he gives her a decoder ring.
Decoder
and she's
ring.
like, is that a decoder ring?
But it's romantic,
Exactly.
especially where they
You're
are.
getting married. I mean, come on.
They're getting married.
Doesn't matter.
I did love this. This was very endearing. But what did you think of Fritz trusting Meeks to be best man?
Meeks.
Mm.
Meeks. I mean, we know more, obviously, than as the audience. Not excited about it, but I can see where he's coming from. I mean, he doesn't know that Meeks is a spy. But Meeks, he's kind of skeezy. I mean, right in that moment, he's like, you know what? You're going to put me on the same team as you. Mm-hmm. Skeezy.
But also very smart from Meeks.
Of course.
Because we do see Meeks. I mean, he played a big role in tonight's episode as well. Because we know he's the spy, and it was last episode he got half of that Hershey wrapper. But we saw the second half. I was very surprised that they showed the next Soviet associate.
Me too, like so quickly. Really, really quickly.
I'm not complaining, I'm just surprised.
Right.
Like, okay, and now it's a woman, actually played by Mamie Gunner.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
There's a couple of appearances.
There's a lot of big appearances tonight.
Yeah,
I was like,
we'll get to that.
WGN is getting it.
I know.
I was like, good for you guys.
Yes, coming up.
But, okay, so what do we think of Mamie Gunner's character? Did we get her name? Mystery Woman.
Yeah, we didn't get her name. I was
Mysterious
looking for
woman.
it. I was searching for it.
What do you think of their first interaction? Getting a blowjob.
Yep.
Fellatio. I mean, that's how they do it there.
I mean, you know, you gotta let off steam.
Meeks definitely does.
He definitely
He's
did.
a bit wound up right now.
You know, she got his trust real quick. Real quick. So, you know, you got to, as a spy, you got to do what you got to do. You got to make it quick. You don't got time. The war is on, and she just got down to business.
Yeah. And it kind of, I liked their whole interaction scene when they're in the, you know, his private room and whatnot. And they're pretty much telling the audience, like, hey, we're just stuck in a position. We're stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Right.
Do we go to our people, you know, the people above us, tell them we're kind of getting cold feet, we're messing up, but they're going to do more damage to us, so we got to play it cool and figure it out on our own.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but his whole theory of why, you know, in the first place he wanted to divulge all the secrets and all that, you know, was to make it level playing field with the Soviets.
Yeah.
And I mean, when he first said his theory, I was like, okay, I can kind of get that. But then I was like, it's not well thought through. No. Because, you know, once the genie is out of the bottle, as people say, you can't put it back in.
Nope.
And as history has shown us, you know, once that genie came out of the bottle, everyone, and it became, you know, a Cold War, a nuclear arms race.
It became all the wars.
Exactly. So, you know, one person can change history like that.
Okay, so what do you think of Meeks and his behavior? Because I said last after show that I don't truly think Meeks is all bad. Granted, he's done some bad things. He's made some bad choices. Okay. But we definitely see tonight's episode. He's regretting it. And he's afraid of what he's gotten himself into. Mm-hmm. And I liked how he said, I only went to people to find out why our own people, our own army, killed our own people.
Right.
It was like friendly fire and something's wrong. So what do you think of Meeks' mentality in all this?
I don't know.
Right? Is it messed up?
No, I still
twisted?
think it's messed up. I still think it's twisted. And maybe because I just come from that community, I'm like, you don't share secrets.
Okay.
You don't share secrets. That is like the golden rule up there. You know what you're up there to do. It's, you know, at that time especially, it was a service to your country. And here he goes, you know, coming up with his own theories. And, you know, if you had a problem with what the U.S. government did, I think possibly there might have been other ways to go around it. But now you've dug yourself a grave that
he did.
You can't really get out of at this point. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, exactly. And I don't trust him. I don't like him.
I don't trust him either,
No.
only because of his actions.
Right.
And I did feel for him in season 1. It's like, okay, he's mysterious. He's kind of always being pushed to the side for a reason. And now they gave him a big storyline, which he's doing amazing.
Right.
But his character, I want to feel bad for him, but I'm like, you brought that onto yourself.
You did. You definitely brought that onto yourself. When you signed up for the job, you knew what was going to be, going down. You knew you could not share these government secrets, and you went against your country, supposedly, and are sharing secrets with the Soviets.
Yep.
That's never had a good outcome.
Nope. So, yeah, I mean, I have a prediction on him.
Okay, what do you think?
We'll save it for predictions.
Okay.
That was a tease.
No.
But you gotta remind me that it's about Meeks. Okay, so Team Implosion, Frank gets married. Meeks is the best man. Well, I mean, it was fun to see the guys kind of loosen up.
It was.
And Fritz just stinking drunk. I was like, again, there's the levity in
Exactly. No, he did. I mean, so happy for Fritz, and I'm glad that they do show the other sides to the scientists, especially letting off steam, partying, doing what they did because they did that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then part of Team Implosion, we also see Paul and Helen kind of go at it. We know they have history. Still very, very bitter about everything that went down. What do you think of Paul's reaction to Helen, and then vice versa? How do you think Helen's reacting to it?
I think, Paul just needs to grow up and get over it. Like,
he's hurt.
He is. He's hurt. I get it.
Hurt.
But I mean, come on. It's been how long? And she's moved on. She's clearly not the type of person who holds on to things too hard, as we see with Charlie later on as well. If she said, I just didn't love you. So, I mean, what can you really say to that? When somebody tells you that, it's like, okay, you got to move on.
I think that was the perfect line for her to say, as hard as it is, kind of like ripping that Band-Aid off.
Exactly.
Like,
you just got to do it.
Just get over it, dude. Sorry, it was sex, which on the surface seems very, very cold. But from Helen, we can believe that, because she just had way more life experience and romantic experience than Paul probably ever had.
Exactly.
I do feel bad for Paul, though, but he does need to move on.
Right, I feel bad for him, but I think his character kind of wallows in his own, sadness too much. It's like he didn't want, Charlie to become head of the division. He didn't want Helen and, Charlie hooking up, and it's just, you're all grown-ups. Just...
Right, move on.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised with Helen and Helen's just behavior towards Paul. Granted, that was warranted, but her behavior towards Charlie,
that came out of nowhere.
Especially not being put on the G group. Now there's the official list of who made the G group, the new Team Implosion Extended, or major, whatever we want to call it.
Right.
And Helen's not on it. Do you think that was right, though, that she wasn't on it?
Obviously, I don't think it's right. She's one of the smartest scientists up there. Her and Frank, that was kind of like...
definitely deserves it.
Right, exactly.
She brought that up.
Exactly. Which I was like, go Helen. Like, tell these guys what's up. When she went up to Oppenheimer and Charlie and literally let them have it. I was like, good for her. Because there's not that many women scientists up there. And she did deserve it. And she is very smart. And, yeah.
Right. From a strong feminist female perspective, I say, go girl.
Exactly.
You represent all the women there at Los Alamos. But there's also time and place and tact.
Correct.
Yeah,
she was a little drunk.
and very butthurt. I get it.
Right.
I get it. But you're at someone's private residence, which you're literally bleeding business with, private affairs. So that's already red flags. And then you're with Oppenheimer himself.
Exactly.
You do not tell off Oppenheimer.
No.
That is the one person you do not tee off.
Exactly. And also, I mean, this is, I guess, kind of a bone to pick I have with the writers.
All right.
They wouldn't be actually talking about work-related stuff outside of...
Yeah.
I mean, I know it is entertainment and it's loosely based and, all that, but they wouldn't be talking about where, Charlie and Oppenheimer wouldn't be talking about where they're going to do the Trinity test outside of the lab, or, I highly doubt Helen would come in lose her mind right there and be saying all that stuff. So, you know.
A lot does go down in that scene, which was great.
Yes.
Also because we now know that they have specific locations they want to test the bomb. So we're making progress in that way. We're like, okay, we're going to see it soon.
Exactly.
Finally, we see something. So that we have that. And then, but also, we also meet Oppenheimer's wife.
Yes.
What do you think of Neve Campbell?
I was so excited to see her.
I'm so excited to see her. She's amazing.
I love Neve.
Another great cast member to join
Yes.
Manhattan. I was like, WGN, you're killing it.
Yes, coming up.
I'm really excited. What do you think? Because she plays Kitty. Mm-hmm. What do you think of her character?
There's something about her character. I mean, Neve's just a great actress.
Amazing.
In general. But I feel like the character is as kind of mysterious as Oppenheimer is. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, Abby said, they're a perfect match together, because you could tell she's kind of thinking about something in the back of her head while she's always talking to them. And I thought I think she was a good choice for the role, for sure.
I think she's great too. And I love how they establish Kitty as like, don't mess with her. I mean, she's married to Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. This is her third husband now, which is like, okay, the girl's been around. But she has this gravitas to her. Like, she's experienced. She knows everything that's going on. She knows that they're working on an atomic bomb. And, I mean, I love how Abby's trying to, like, not subtly, try to figure out what they're working on, even though we know that she knows.
She knows, exactly.
But Abby was annoying.
Yeah. We'll get to her, because I have
trust me,
a lot to say
we're
about
going to
her.
get into Abby and Charlie soon. But I
Yes.
loved how Kitty was like, don't try to,
Don't tell me what's
blackmail me
Yeah.
when I know everything
because I know
about
what's up with you.
And I was like, yes, Kitty. All right. I like you. You can stay.
Exactly. No, I thought that was really good. But in that scene, a lot went down, because I think Abby kind of showed her cards as to the fact that she, eavesdrops on conversations. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was smart to tell Kitty that, because, Kitty's Oppenheimer's wife, the director. To know that you are spying on the director of the project's phone calls, no bueno.
No bueno. I say no bueno all the time. But... and then we find out, I mean, Abby's trying to, obviously, when Abby's talking to Charlie now, we're pretty much onto them, but Charlie's like, you're not setting up this dinner meeting for, relations.
Exactly.
You're setting it up just so you can find out more about the work I'm doing.
Exactly.
And we all know what you're up to. It's not so subtle.
Right.
Come on, Abby.
But she already knows, because he told her exactly what they're up to, which, that's another thing. I
think Abby knows on surface level, at face value what they're working on. They're working on a bomb.
Right.
But she also doesn't know who's all, included on making this and who's all involved.
But even just her knowing that they're making a bomb is information she's not supposed to know.
True.
Like, nobody without that clearance. The vice president, even at that time, historically, didn't know about the project.
I know.
So...
And we saw Kitty's reaction to Abby. Do you think Kitty knows that Abby knows about the project?
I think so. I think she knows, which is... Abby, you're showing your cards. I mean, this could be a bad deal for you in the get-go, in the ending.
You do not want this as pillow talk.
No.
Especially with Oppenheimer.
Exactly. And why did Abby go so far? I mean, her and her husband knew what it feels like to be, in
the dark?
In the dark, exactly. They weren't there that long ago, and so it's crazy to see what her character is doing.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. And then at the end of that, we see Abby go up to Charlie and be like, you should have Oppenheimer's job. Why do you think she said that?
She's just trying to do some power playing.
Power playing.
I don't know. I kind of feel like she's the housewife on the hill that's super bored. That's like
stirring things
like,
up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stir things up. I have my martini and stir things up. Which
Real Housewives of Los Alamos.
Exactly.
That's a whole different show.
That's a whole nother show. Trust me on this one.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? She's trying to do some power plays. I mean, the episode before, she was telling Charlie, why don't you guys go after the German scientists, their families, their names, all of that.
I know, she's dark.
Yeah, she's kind of getting...
She has a dark edge to her.
There is something going on. She's just not suited for the hill. Homegirl is not about the hill. She can't keep a secret. She can't, she's not good with secrets. And, which makes me wonder, is she a spy? Maybe, possibly.
Yeah. We have predicted that Abby would be an amazing spy because, first of all, she's a female. No one would really expect a female to be a spy because the whole oppression, and especially in Los Alamos, they're usually just using women to crunch the numbers. They're not doing the hard science unless you're Helen.
Right.
But she's an exception. So it'd be a surprise for that. And then now seeing this darker side of Abby just interrogating, asking all the right questions. To all the right people at all the wrong times.
Charlie keeps giving her information too.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder.
Be careful. And they also live in Frank and Liza's house, which we know is bugged.
Exactly.
Fools.
Everything's bugged. Everything's bugged up there.
I know. It's when you're a little too open with your conversations.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay. So is that all about Abby and Charlie? Is there anything else you want to talk about them before we move on?
Abby actually, when she was on listening into Oppenheimer's phone call, I kind of thought that the voice on the phone sounded like Oppenheimer's wife. Did you?
Maybe.
I was like, is this a setup, maybe?
Maybe, because Abby lets the audience know that she thinks Oppenheimer's cheating.
Right, exactly.
That's why she goes up to Kitty, hey, I have information on your husband.
But Kitty kind of looks like, I know something you don't know.
And I was like, I know you have relations too.
Right.
And not with your husband. It's like, yes, Kitty.
Yeah.
Give it back. Don't
dish out what you can't,
And don't what you can't take.
Exactly.
That I really like Kitty. For the 2 seconds she's been on screen,
I love her. I hope she comes back.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Well, we do know Neve Campbell is a recurring guest role. So we'll see more of her.
Definitely.
All right. And then to top that off, really, we see Helen gets a letter from Oppenheimer saying that she's on the team.
Does it say that she's on?
She's on a team. Because there was a
prediction about that.
Line. Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yes.
Because there was a specific line that says,
"You're going to be a manager, right?
And pick your manager,
right?
So, do you think she's ahead of a new team?
I think so.
Ooh,
getting juicy.
I'm just figuring this out as I speak about this.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into Liza because she interacted with a lot of great people in today's episode. We'll start with her and Darrow. And, I don't like Darrow, but it's interesting, just his perspective on everything. Again, he brings up another religious reference.
Right.
I'm like, it just makes me question just who he is, why he's here. Stirring things up.
Right.
Causing... creating all these questions that we have.
Exactly. So you're not sure about his whole religious take on everything, or?
I have a hard time reading him.
Right.
And I like to read people.
Okay.
But he's so good that I'm like, I don't know if I should trust him because he's in an authoritative
he's
leader
in the military.
Military. We're already conditioned to trust people.
Right.
But again, this is Manhattan Project. Who can you really trust?
And he's got Frank locked away somewhere, and he knows he's not a spy.
Yep. And Liza's still trying to talk to Darrow, but Darrow meets with a reporter. This mysterious reporter on the outside of Las Vegas. I liked him just because he's like, hey, I walked a mile, and I'm not gonna leave here until you guys can confirm that you guys know where Frank Winter is.
Here's what I had a problem with that scene, just being from Los Alamos. I don't know. One thing is, I don't think they would let a reporter just waltz in. I mean, at that point in time, you had to have clearances.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He was on the outside of the gate.
He was on the outside, but then the colonel let him in.
But the reporter was really good because he threatened him, be like, hey, I'm going to put out in public, in the Chronicle, let everyone know something's up at Los Alamos. All the America's geniuses are gone, and they're stuck behind this fence of yours.
Yep.
What are they doing? What are they up to? This is World War II.
But he could have easily have just thrown him in the same hole that Frank's in right now and just kept him there until the end of the war. You know? But I thought it was, I don't know, it's interesting.
We only have to keep
see.
one person, not that person.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, the whole town would be in there.
Be like, yeah, seriously, everyone would be
and
in
then
there.
there's no show.
Nope. Okay, but we do find out that this reporter used to be an old fling of Liza.
Right?
Ooh.
Small town is just getting smaller.
Definitely. This was, I found, very surprising from Liza. But the reporter, what was his name?
Laurentis, I believe.
Laurentis. He pretty much knows that, and confirms that Frank is missing. And
right.
And again, Liza's still trying to figure out. And they go to Albert Einstein's house.
So
what do you
crazy.
think of this?
You know, I was actually really excited to finally see Einstein. And it ties in, I think, to the beginning of the episode when Frank and Glenn are, you know, trying to kind of, you know, petition this whole project off on different military people and nobody's really listening. And then it turns out that they actually went to Einstein. And historically speaking, Einstein, you know, we all know what he did.
Yeah, he pretty much helped whisper into someone's ear, like, hey,
exactly.
we should start the atomic bomb.
Exactly. So the fact that she's going now, I think Einstein can get him out. I think he's going to come out soon.
Oh, or do you think Einstein has enough leverage to get Frank out?
I think he does have enough leverage because he knows how smart Frank is and he knows how valuable and what an asset he is to the project. And if they don't really have anything on Frank to keep him there, you know, why keep such a great mind at this time of need locked up? Like, that makes no sense. You know, you're trying to beat the Germans, you're trying to beat the Soviets. You need all hands on deck. So,
yes.
I don't know. I think he has enough pull.
Interesting. I like, okay, because we saw in season 1 they teased Albert, and we just historically is known that Albert Einstein, he wasn't really part of the Manhattan Project, but he helped create it, and he was the inception of it. And I liked how they actually brought him in, because we were questioning all last season. We were like, who would they cast just to look like Albert Einstein?
The guy looks like him.
The guy was like completely on point. I was like, whoa, I thought you were dead.
Exactly. He looks exactly like him. Now, I was really excited.
That's great casting.
Yeah, for that.
So that kind of ties back to the actual beginning of the episode, where we saw back in January 1939.
Right.
2003, 381 days before Hiroshima. I love how we're getting in like exact days now.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually see Liza in a sanatorium. There we go. And because we know Liza has some mental health issues, they don't really like fully delve into it, but we know that mentally she's unstable, chemically imbalanced.
Right.
But I found this very interesting, how we see Frank and how strong he is for Liza and just his mentality and actually helping Liza out.
Exactly.
What do you think of, you know, this is flashback and the establishment of their relationship and Liza's character?
I think it was a good flashback just to show, you know, when she was in a time of need, he was there for her, and he didn't give up. He knew that she wasn't for that place. She was, you know, could have been doing more things, and it was, you know, kind of draining her, and now she's looking for him. She knows that he's in a place where he shouldn't be, and it's kind of like, you know, the threshold, like what you do for your marriage, you know? You gotta help out your partner. And I think it says a lot about their relationship and, you know, the whole grand scheme of things, that even though one may do something the other one doesn't like, they forgive, and, you know, they're there. They are like road dogs.
Right.
You know?
And it also ties back to the scene with Liza and Darrow, because Darrow, you know, pretty much giving Liza crap like, where's Frank? What has he done for you?
Right.
And just questioning the loyalty that their relationship is, and like what their relationship is. And I love how Eliza's like, I love him. And what would your wife do? Would she give up everything? Because I have.
Exactly.
And Frank has given up everything for me during my times of needs, especially, you know, tying back to the flashbacks. Like when I was in mental health and I had nothing, he gave up everything and helped me in my happiness. So I loved how that tied together and just shows that the relationship isn't, it's real, it's genuine.
Right, it's real, it's genuine.
It's hard to find here at Los Alamos.
Exactly.
What relationship can we try? Everyone's cheating on each other. There's affairs going everywhere.
Right.
But, like, we have a genuine relationship.
A genuine relationship, and I think one that kind of stands the test of time and weathers kind of everything that's thrown at it, which I think that's obviously the show needs that, because otherwise it would just be kind of mayhem and chaos of affairs.
Their end game.
Yeah.
And that's what I really did like about just the whole flashback scenes. Like, okay, Liza and Frank are in it to the end.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
So I gave the audience hope that Frank and Liza will be eventually reunited, because how can they not be? Because Frank's still in that prison.
I know. When is he coming out? I want to know. I thought for sure this episode he would be.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought after the episode when we saw Frank at that prison, I was like, I thought they would actually physically release
Let him out.
And nope.
Didn't happen.
Nope.
Wah, wah, wah.
Not yet. So a whole nother episode we'll see Frank. But he's still alive. And Dunleavy knows this. Because he goes up to Liza and be like, yeah, and, Liza's still pretty PO'd that he turned her. And rightfully so. But Dunleavy, as soft and sweet as he is, he's like, yeah, I turned you in, but I have perks. I can help you out. I know where Frank is.
Exactly.
And I can get you to the border.
Good for him.
Good for him. I mean, I see it as moment of redemption.
Exactly.
It's not, cold-hearted, be like, yeah, I'm sorry.
I think he's a good guy.
The least I can do is let you, help
find your husband.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It was good to see that.
And Dunleavy also tells Liza, yeah, Callie's fine. Don't worry.
She's up in Canada.
Keeping an eye on her.
Exactly.
Which was very sweet. So we see that shot where Dunleavy's leaving, and we know that Liza's hitting under those covers.
So, okay, here's my thing. How does the government know that she knows so much? She knows what they're building. And they're just letting her kind of bebop around town. I mean, yeah, she has security and all this, that, and the other, but, like, she's a liability, She
is, but she's also a liability because she's tied to Frank. And as much as they don't want to admit it, they need Frank.
Exactly.
They're questioning him right now, but at the end, they're going to just bring Frank back to help execute this plan.
Right.
So, I mean, you lose Liza, you're pretty much losing Frank, because Liza's too smart to let all this go. Because if they did leave Liza out in the dust, she's going to go to reporters, blast it all over America, be like, yo, everyone at Los Alamos is building an atomic bomb.
Or do you think that...
I think it's the political...
The other alternative is then they put her in some, mental ward, maybe, so that she doesn't talk? And if she does talk, then nobody will really believe her. Because I don't know, I find it hard to believe that they know she knows this huge secret, and she's just allowed, she escapes.
Yeah, she does.
And I mean, if she's mad at anything, she could easily go tell anyone.
She could easily expose anyone.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. That's also why I question, because I'm worried that they're going to find out her medical history.
Right.
Knowing she was in a sanitarium. And then they're going to use that against her. Be like, no, this woman is mentally unstable. We can't trust her. She's a spy. They can point everything on her.
Anything.
Which would not be good for Liza.
No.
That's the least of her problems.
The plot thickens.
So I think, but honestly, I would have... Maybe for their mentality is like have one smart woman, because we know she's very well educated.
Right.
They eventually should just use her because she has that scientific background.
Right.
So I'd rather deal with one person that is okay, not as much of a threat compared to like everyone else who like one completely unstable person they don't know.
No.
And who isn't, just some Joe Schmo.
Right. Exactly.
Whatever, who would cause a big ruckus.
Like a reporter.
Like a reporter.
Like a reporter.
Don't trust the reporter.
No.
Trust Liza. Don't trust the reporter.
Exactly.
But, all right. Anything else about this episode, one of my favorite lines was, "Careers aren't made between 9 to 5. They're made between fruit and dessert."
I agree.
From Abby. I was like, that's amazing. Small talk. That's an awesome line.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we get to predictions?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Do it.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, you said you had some good predictions. Let's hear it.
All right. So we see, obviously, when Helen gets the letter from Oppenheimer, and it says she's going to be a project manager, is what I was able to read in that quick little, snippet of it. But what I think is, obviously, we know from historically speaking, that they made 2 different types of bombs in Los Alamos. They made the one that they tested at Trinity, and I think that they later dropped on Hiroshima, and that was Fat Man, and that's the implosion one. But then there was another one, Little Man?
There was Thin Man.
Thin Man.
There was Thin
Man, yes. And I think she's going to head up that group. Because that was it wasn't an implosion, it was kind of like a gun type style.
It was their backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think she's going to be the backup plan, and I think Frank's going to come and help her on that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it. I said I had a prediction about Meeks. I think, because we know, I personally think he's not as bad as everyone's making him out to be. I think he's just he has a very skewed perspective on everything. Because he did it for pretty much better of America, because he had that whole perspective that it's all a big chess game.
Right.
And if the Germans also know our information and they build the same atomic bomb, they pretty much just cancel out us.
Right.
And no one wins. I was like, okay, how about have a cold stalemate, have no deaths, which in a way on the surface level seems clean. But going into that, I think Meeks is going to eventually turn himself in.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he is?
Yeah.
Like, you think it's just going to be too much for him?
Yeah, I think at one point, because we already see him disintegrating in this episode. He's not sleeping. He's having anxiety problems, getting fellatio left and right. No, I shouldn't say that. But,
that is true.
It's already eating at him.
Right.
And I don't think he could go a whole nother season. Just his character. I don't think his character's strong enough to go a whole nother season without letting someone know he's a spy.
Right. But we do see at the end of the first episode, I believe, where he actually crawls up the ladder to the gadget test. Yeah, and he's there. So we know, obviously, they haven't figured out he's a spy.
Not yet.
By then.
But I had a prediction about that, because I think Frank is waiting for Meeks in that shed. Because I think throughout the season, Frank finds out that Meeks is a spy.
Right. I think he will, too.
So I think maybe that'll tie back to my earlier prediction in the first episode. So that Meeks will tell Frank that he's a spy.
Will he turn himself in? Same episode?
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's a prediction. But I think eventually down the line, he's going to let someone know, or someone else is going to find him, and he lets slip that he's a spy. Oh. Or he's been an informative for the Soviets.
I kind of have another prediction. I kind of think there's something going on with Abby. I think she's a spy. And, Charlie's not really doing too much to help her in that vicinity. He's kind of feeding her information, too. So I'm like,
all the information.
Maybe they're both spies in some way, and we just don't know it yet.
And Abby has family in Europe.
Exactly.
Who knows? Because we saw that whole episode last season. She's trying to get her family out of Europe. But she has ties to Europe. Who knows who else she's tied to?
Right.
Over there.
I mean,
I don't trust Abby anymore.
I don't trust her, and I started not to trust Charlie that much this episode, because in that one scene where they're both laying in bed and she's telling him, Oppenheimer's having an affair, he just tells her, mind your own business, stay out of people's married life.
You know what killed the cat.
Yeah, but he doesn't say, don't spy on the director's, phone conversations. Like, that is stuff you don't need to know. So he's more concerned about, her keeping her nose out of other people's marriage than her not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with Meeks and the rest of Team Implosion? Do you think they're eventually going to find out? Because we see Meeks is now put in that hard position where he has to be buddy-buddy with Fritz.
Right.
Be like, get me on that team so I
Right.
can still get information because I'm technically on the team.
Right.
Do you think Team Implosion will find out about Meeks?
I think eventually they will.
Eventually.
I think eventually they will, and we'll see, because clearly he's going to be on that team, not on Helen's team.
Or do you think Helen would put Meeks on her team? And in a way, because Helen still knows more than Meeks does.
That's
so
true.
if Meeks gets on Helen's team, he still gets all the same information.
He gets different information about the different bomb. He doesn't get implosion information.
Not implosion information. Okay, but just information.
Yeah,
in general,
he
that he
gets
can also be
yeah.
like, hey, there's a backup plan.
Hey,
You
our
guys be
plan B.
wary. You guys are worried about atomic bomb, but we also have another bomb.
Right, exactly.
So
We
we're
have two
coming at
different
you with
types of
two
atomic,
bombs
exactly.
instead of just that one.
Exactly. It's bad news, but
It's-
regardless.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But we did see Glenn.
yes.
So Glenn came back. He's all good. So we didn't really mention Glenn, but yeah, he's back.
He is.
So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It
Yeah,
was
of course.
a blast.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
They can find me on all my social media is at Alina Vision.
How do you spell it?
Vision is V as in Victor, ISSION.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow Bobby at Bobby DeMiro on Twitter. You can follow all of us here, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun platforms at AFTERBUZZ TV. Use the hashtag ABTV Manhattan. We'll be here talking bombs all week.
All kinds.
Thanks,
Yep.
guys, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.